And Dr. Maria.
With Dr. Maria. And this is America's Mayor Live, coming to you from Palm Beach. You can see what previously, very shortly before, was a beautiful background is now
dark.
Nighttime.
Yeah.
And you'll hear in the background, because we're outdoors, interesting noises. The waterfall.
You do hear a water fountain.
You may occasionally hear a car go by, but that's the beauty of it's being outdoors, right? Today, well, I guess it started yesterday, but yesterday and today, the House committee has issued a number of subpoenas, which is the beginning of the process of investigating all these allegations that, to me, it seems like we've done this about 5 times.
I was going to ask you, Rudy, you are the most famous lawyer in the world. You're with the best prosecutor. This seems to have stalled, and now things that I thought should have been done earlier are being done now with the subpoenas. Was there a reason? I mean, did they have to wait till they had even more evidence? To me, they had enough evidence for probable cause for those subpoenas. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thought is that the Justice Department could have done this. Could have done it when Barr was Attorney General. I mean,
there you go. That too.
I mean, right? The guy that gets off the hook the most here is Barr, because nobody's willing to ask him, why did you sit on the hard drive for all that time, which is almost completely. It is completely exculpatory. I mean, it proves that Trump didn't do any of the things involved in that, at least that first impeachment. And his attorney general sat on the hard drive. In other words, concealed it. And then his attorney general allowed him to be accused of Russian collusion with the hard drive. Allowed me to be accused of being a Russian pun for 16 months. Never came forward with the hard drive, which would have proved that it wasn't. And it's something that he had verified 8 months earlier. So there's something very seriously wrong with Barr, but nobody wants to seem to face it. And he's walking around getting away with it completely when it's enormously frustrating. No one has the guts to ask, what the heck did you sit on the hard drive for almost a year?
Well, it was the hard drive, and wasn't it when you went to Ukraine looking at the beginnings of this fake dossier? You didn't go looking for dirt on Joe Biden. He hadn't even announced running for president. The Ukrainian people were telling you about it. And as a good citizen, I may say, you took it and brought it to the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
And they sat on that too.
Yeah. And so did the State Department.
Yeah.
And,
all right. I thought.
And the FBI, of course, part of the allegations was the FBI was corrupt and covering up what the Democrats were doing in Ukraine. And in some cases, we're part of it. I brought that to them. It's so long ago now. It seems like it was ages ago that they got that information. My outline probably covers about 3/4 of what they have now. They could have done it back then. They could have prosecuted back then. And he never would have been president. And just think of all the people that would be alive. So you want to put some weight and guilt on them? Here's the guilt, pal. If you had done what you're supposed to do, Mr. Attorney General, with your job, all those people in Ukraine be alive today. Did you ever think of that? That's a heck of a consequence for your dereliction of duty.
So the subpoenas today.
The subpoenas they're Hunter Biden.
Okay.
And Hunter Biden, of course, aside from Joe, is the top of the chain here of this group, right? What is Hunter Biden? He's the number one bag man. That's what he is. He's the number one conduit of money to the top of the criminal enterprise, which was Joe Biden. And of course, Joe Biden is the top of it for 2 reasons. He's the guy that was getting the lion's share of the money, according to his son, which still very, very suspiciously nobody really emphasizes very much. I don't know why.
I did hear Byron Donalds. I thought to myself, he must have seen the Rudy Giuliani show, America's Mayor Live, one of your radio shows.
Yeah, nobody talks about it. But it's probably one of the most critical parts of the hard drive, and that is Hunter Biden explaining to his daughter the compensation scheme for the RICO enterprise, for the criminal enterprise. Real simple. I've had to for the last 30 to do that. That's memorized. And that was at the end of 2018, right around Christmas. I think it may have been Christmas Day or right around that time in 2018 when Hunter Biden, the guy subpoenaed the other day or yesterday, texted that to his daughter. Presumably, it sounds like because she's getting involved in some of it. Maybe not. I don't know, maybe just historical. It's during a time in which he's kind of bitter that he isn't appreciated by his family. He even says in the text, which I left out, that they don't appreciate me. It sounds like Rodney Dangerfield.
You
they don't
give me no respect. I can't do it. But
yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. The text says they never respect you. So it's a text driven by bitterness, in which he says, "I've had to cough up half of my salary to my dad for 30 years." Now, not only did he say it, but there's a lot of evidence that corroborates it. When you see it, it all makes sense, right? People have been asking for 5 years or 4 years, why would someone pay Hunter Biden $5 million or $10 million? Why would they pay him that? Well, there is a reason why, right? He did have something of value. It certainly wasn't him. He was a broken down drug addict for years. If you want to feel sorry for him, feel sorry for him. If you don't want to feel sorry for him because he has endangered the national security of the United States, they're doing business. They're not doing business with XYZ. They're doing business with China. And some of the business he did imperiled our national security. And you can't tell me that some of those documents that Biden stole from the White House weren't passed down to China. In fact, there are a couple that are so darn suspicious. Some of his communications looks like he just plagiarized those documents, like his old man did. So he's going to be subpoenaed, and I don't see how he answers any questions. I don't get how it would be possible for him to answer any questions. What does he say? Did you say?
Can he plead the fifth?
Of course he can.
Yeah.
And given a guy who's under indictment, you'd expect that he would probably. I mean, he is under indictment.
Yeah. I would suspect James Biden will take the fifth.
Yeah, it's very, very rare that somebody under indictment will testify. I guess Trump has done it, but I mean, Trump just talks about everything, but he has nothing to hide. He didn't commit crimes.
Yeah.
These people committed crimes.
Is Tony Bobulinski on the list of subpoenas?
I believe so. I believe Bobulinski. In other words, the witnesses who make the case are there. Rob Walker was a business partner of Hunter's and was involved in a number of the transactions with the Red Chinese company, and he's the one who forwarded some of the money to him. He's the one who the money that got distributed to 5 members of the family. So he presumably would know what that was for. He was involved in the business deals, and there's a chance he will not take the Fifth Amendment. I don't know how incriminated he is, or how much of the criminal activity he was involved in. Sarah Biden was a partner in the Red Chinese deal with her husband. She's subpoenaed.
That's James' wife.
That's James'
correct?
wife,
Yeah.
right. Melissa Cohen, Hunter Biden, of the illegal money. Haley Biden, his sister-in-law, former sister-in-law, who became his mistress, right? She got some of the money. She's on the list, and Elizabeth Secundi is on the list. She's the sister of Haley Biden, who, if you look, you'll see, he kind of unburdened himself to her quite a few times.
Yeah, he was having an affair with her as well.
With very, very incriminating statements. So she can be asked about those, I'm sure. And then, of course, Bob Alinsky, who basically says was the very important part of all these business deals. Of course, Joe claims to not know about any of them, but he was, according to Bob Alinsky, he was a material part of it. The Bob Alinsky had in-depth conversations with him about them. He was clearly the big guy that was described in the memo about the deal with the Chinese communists, and that he was instructed to do everything that he could to hide Joe Biden's role in it, because they would lie about it. He said they practiced plausible. I think the word that he put in the mouth of James Biden is plausible deniability, which is a lie.
Yeah.
It's a lie that you can sell.
Even Devin Archer, who I have to say, you look at him, he looks like a slippery snake.
He is.
Right?
Well, he is all that.
He doesn't look like a very trustworthy gentleman.
Is not. Right.
He even said the whole brand was Joe Biden. Let's face it. Joe Biden was on the phone several times in their business meetings. Now, the White House tried to say, yeah, Joe Biden would just say, hey, how's the weather? You know, who's going to believe that? Maybe once Hunter calls him out of the blue when there's some business partners around and Joe doesn't know about it and just asks. But when it happens repeatedly, where there is smoke, there is fire.
Yeah, and some of this is corroborated by things on the hard drive, like one of the business partners, I can't remember if it was Walker or another one, says, I've given the memo to Joe about the business deal with the Chinese, and we're waiting for his decision. So, I mean, it isn't just their testimony; it's right there in black and white. I sent the memo to Joe about the business deal.
Well, there's 170 red flags on their businesses. In some ways, it's, to somebody who doesn't launder money, it seems sophisticated to me that there was thought in this.
It was extraordinarily sophisticated, and you want the irony of it?
Yeah.
The architect of it is the person that's closest to Ukraine. He's his patron.
Oh.
We would call him in New York his rabbi, the guy who made him. His boss might be another way to look at it. The only reason Zelensky has the millions that he has is that one of the most crooked men in Ukraine took him under his wing. Crooked men in Ukraine took the Bidens under their wing. One was Mykola Zlochevsky, who is the head of Burisma, who is the one who told the FBI confidential informant that they trusted, who was considered to be an informant, proven reliability. He told them, straight out, I paid them $10 million in order to fix the Burisma case, in order to get it dismissed. Because if the Burisma case went to fruition, his business would have been taken from him. And just at the moment that he seizes the company. So on February 1st or 2nd, 2016, the Attorney General of Ukraine issues an arrest order for the company, closes it down. It closes the whole company down. And then a whole chain of events begins, including 4 conversations of an hour each between Biden and Poroshenko, which the White House should be demanded to release the transcript, because the Ukrainians have released a little of the transcript.
Interesting.
And it's highly incriminating.
Do you think the committee, Comer, has it?
I hope they do, or they should have it.
I don't know. Look at Janet Yellen stonewalled the information. Still, I don't believe
we should ask our ally Ukraine to give it to us. And we give Ukraine enough money, they might as well give us some of the incriminating evidence that they've been holding back for years. Remember, you could very much, if he were not the president of Ukraine and he was an American, you could probably charge Zelensky with obstruction of justice. The whole case, got all the documents. He got a complete breakdown of the case.
Remember
I got one quick look at the file, and it's devastating. And Not only that, somebody should ask him how much money his president got as a bribe. Okay, in Ukraine.
It seems like yesterday when Trump was in office and Zelensky gave this 19-hour-long interview. Do you remember this?
Sure, I remember.
It went on forever, how great Trump is and defending Trump. It was the most.
Well, because the he had with him was perfect. Not only was it perfectly legitimate,
it was perfectly
Zelensky knew. But Zelensky knew that it had to be done because he knew the bribe took place. And it would have been proven beyond doubt, and you couldn't have had the impeachment if his attorney general wasn't hiding the hard. I can't imagine why Barr would let Trump go through that. It's even cruel. And you got the hard drive that explains that there was a bribe at the highest level of the United States and Ukrainian government. Of course, the president of the United States is going to ask the new president of Ukraine to, despite the fact that there's an election going on. It doesn't seem to bother them there's an election going on and they've indicted Trump 4 times. Trump calls the president of Ukraine and says, can you look into this? And all of a sudden they impeach him. Meanwhile, they've indicted Trump 4 times. So there are 4 prosecutions he has to deal with during the election year. That's okay. They can do that. The hypocritical crooks can do that. But the president asks a legitimate question. There's so much evidence on the hard drive that the bribe took place that one could question whether Trump wouldn't have acted in violation of his oath for not asking for the investigation. The president takes an oath to make sure that the laws of the United States are faithfully executed. A vice president of the United States bribing the president of a sovereign nation is a crime of the highest magnitude. I mean, it jeopardizes the relationship between those 2 countries. Right now, it's a shadow and a cloud on all the money that we've given to them. We've never been in a situation. Churchill, didn't have documents showing that Roosevelt got, $10 million in bribes when he asked for help on Lend-Lease. So you could say Roosevelt could make a legitimate decision. The guy asking for the money's got him by the, he releases that file that he's got in Ukraine. And I'm told the Bidens go down. I am told by the prosecutors, and there's going to be a big clean out in Washington. We're going to have a lot fewer people in Washington. There are other people involved. And I was told directly by the prosecutors in Ukraine that are honest, and those guys are in fear of their lives. I was told, the reason they're fighting you so much and they're trying to kill you and destroy you is there are a lot more people involved in this than you realize. I said, can you tell me who they are? They said, no, we never were allowed to see all that. We would come up with the information. What we do know is there was a bribe from Biden to Poroshenko. That was the transaction that Biden talked about, holding back the $1 billion, and that there were payments to our president twice, and there's a dispute about the amount. But the dispute is a hell of a dispute. It's between 2 payments of $25 million or 2 payments of $50 million. Incredible. And there are even more witnesses to that than the Biden bribes, which would be a matter for Ukraine to deal with if it were an honest country, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, how can we criticize them? Well, we let our vice president skate on bribery, and they're letting their president skate on bribery. So they were so-called second most corrupt country in the world. What does that make us? Yeah. I mean, this is disgraceful. There's nothing like this has ever happened in the history of the United States. And I don't think even the American people who understand it and believe it and how serious it is. We have never had a crime at this level of the American government of this magnitude that we know of.
Because of the defining of deviancy down. I love that. It is so true. We were brought up in our generations, you don't steal, you don't lie, you go to work every day, blah, blah, blah. Good American values. Now people break the law, no bail, they get out, they do it again. There's no consequences. And people in positions of that should be holding citizens accountable say, oh, they just stole, Louis Vuitton stuff. Who does it really hurt?
Yeah, I'm even shocked that there isn't more of a reaction to the amounts of money involved here. I don't remember what the Agnew bribe was. I seem to think it was was it like 5 or 10,000? It wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't even approach
the millions.
At most, it was six figures. It wasn't in the multiple millions.
Yeah.
This is extraordinary amounts of money, even for usual bribes. And I've prosecuted bribery. I've never prosecuted a bribe of 10 million from a crooked foreign business leader to the second highest official of the United States. This is a disgrace to the United States of America. It's something that would say to people that they can't trust us. They can't trust us. How do you trust Biden? I mean, he turns his back on his own people and gets them killed. Look what he did to the people of Afghanistan who cooperated with us. Not only did he abandon them, but he left weapons behind to kill them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's extraordinary what this guy has gotten away with. And now we're just now subpoenaing him, and they're acting like they're innocent.
Well, after the break, I think we need to talk about another disgrace, and that's the anti-Semitism that is on the rise.
Oh, you mean the Islamophobia that we set up the commission for to study?
We don't see any.
But the anti-Semitism, which Biden totally ignores. Maybe because he'd be one of the people that's an anti-Semite. We can talk. Only his boss, Obama, was. We'll be back in a few
What commercial
minutes.
are we going into so I can
We
tell?
are doing T2T on the tower.
Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. It's Rudy Giuliani back with you. I hope you appreciated it and enjoyed the advertisement from T2T.org. And in response to it, you're going to send your $11 in, right? Yep. Because you're going to true heroes. So Dr. Maria was bringing up something. Gosh, I thought we were finished with it. That level of anti-Semitism. This is the worst outbreak of anti-Semitism since the Holocaust, or since Germany and Hitler. Certainly October 6th, right?
Yes,
right.
It was peaceful on October 6th.
Yeah. Will go down as one of the worst days in the history of the Jewish people. I mean, it's the anniversary today, I'm told, of Kristallnacht, which was when the Nazis killed many, many Jews in Germany and terrorized them. I'm not sure it was 1,400 though.
I can't even wrap my mind.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to kill in one day.
Hating people so much you want to commit genocide. The other thing that's very news on the Rudy Giuliani radio show today, Benjamin Netanyahu is calling out CNN, Reuters, AP, New York Times for their embedded photojournalists that were with Hamas. Get this. They were with Hamas taking photos of them killing people, raping people, burning babies.
That takes your breath away.
And
if it's possible to have that happen anymore.
Now, one organization denied it. I believe it was New York Times. AP said, yes, there was photojournalists there, but they didn't know attack. It's hard to believe, right? They were there from the get-go. The other problem is one of these photojournalists took a picture of a selfie with a high-level Hamas
he was so proud
leader.
of his.
This is what you honor nowadays.
Well, he was able to get firsthand account of the destruction of human life. It's really wonderful.
But they didn't seem to be bothered by it,
little babies
Rudolph.
And women. Yeah, I wonder if they watched the rapes.
Well, they filmed some of it. Some of the films you've been able to see are directly from these photojournalists.
And they're the same. Well, I hope it's not true.
And how about?
I hope it's not true. I hope it's a mistake.
How about the poll that you did on your radio show today with how many Democrats support Palestinian people here? Hear me clearly. There was a high percentage, a fifth of the Democrats that were polled support
20%.
Hamas.
It's 20% of Democrats support Hamas. 50-something% support Israel. In contrast with Republicans, where the number who supported are 7%, and that's probably the percentage of nutty Republicans.
Maybe they don't understand there's a difference between Hamas
and 76% of Republicans, which is more than 2/3 of the party, 3/4 of the party, comes out in favor of Israel, and the rest are undecided. But only 7% support Hamas, as opposed to 20% of Democrats. And independents, it's interesting. 7% of independents support Hamas, roughly the same as Republicans, maybe 1 percentage point difference. And 52% support Israel. Of Hamas is about equal between Democrats and independents. Democrats have a substantial group that admires Hamas, and the Democrats have much less support for Israel than Republicans. Now,
I always try to seek to understand, but
far be it from me to tell all my good friends who are Jewish what the hell you're voting Democrat for. If you want the state of Israel to have the state of Israel survive, if you haven't figured out by now that Obama, who you voted for, is anti-Semitic, well then you don't watch. How about we try this out? You know that he sent cash to Iran. You know he sent multiple millions of dollars to Iran, both in cash and other monies, well over billions of dollars. Biden has done so, or sending $6 billion to them. Would either one of them give money to a country that its foundational principles is the destruction of the Jewish people and the state of Israel?
May I say?
I would be like giving money to Hitler.
It's not just Jewish people, right? When they first knew of the Hamas savagery towards innocent citizens
in
Israel,
hatred goes beyond Jewish people.
Yep.
You're right.
What did they chant? Death to America.
Death to Israel, death to America.
Yep. So all these kids...
We're in it together.
Not knowing what you're protesting, just going out to be part of the
I think you're being too nice to them.
You're being used, number one. You're being ignorant, but they don't give a care about you. They would burn you alive and rape you in a minute if it serves their purpose.
The communists have the least respect for the people that they can turn, and they can turn to their purposes. And when they take control of a country, they eventually kill them first.
You've been alerting people about this communism, Marxist thread in our society. It's in our school systems.
They'll kill them first.
It's in our government.
They'll even take a chance at trying to turn you if you've been against them because they figure you're worth something. But if they can actually brainwash you, you're like you're a dead man or woman walking, They'll keep you alive as long as they can get out of you what they need. The minute that's over, that's when the big purge takes place. And this was true of Lenin, Stalin, Mao,
Yep.
Castro, you name it.
You will have nothing, and you will like it, says Klaus Schwab.
Well, I mean, I don't know what the hell he is, a Nazi or
One
or,
world
or a,
order.
he's a one world order. I
The
think
elites,
communist. People
like
say
the
he's a
Obamas,
Nazi.
Clintons get everything. We'll starve.
Yeah, you don't need much money to be happy. He needs money. I mean, remember, all these guys who are the head communists are billionaires, like the head Hamas people that
I'm
are
glad you said that.
screwing around in Qatar, and we're not doing a damn thing about
They
it.
live in mansions in Qatar worth about $11 billion. We probably don't even know the true amount there.
These are the people who run the
Yep.
baby killing
Yep.
organization known as Hamas, that seems to be favored by a lot of American college students, particularly at Ivy League schools. Boy, did you waste your money sending your kid to an Ivy League school?
I would never, ever. Or my grandchildren or great. You did that? Oh,
Caroline. Yeah.
Yeah. Harvard.
What a waste of money that was. I mean, she's a great kid, but I mean, wow. You look at that place and you look at what they favor and what they do and the way they cover and the lack of morals that they have and changing your gender and
Well, I am very proud of some of the donors who said enough is enough over this situation.
well, it has been a bit of a turning point.
Yeah,
really.
I was happy about that. Even one guy said, publish the names of these students so we can never hire them. I like that. That was very bold. Because why would you want people who are morally corrupt back a terrorist group, scare the bejesus out of any Jewish student? I can't believe it. Having to hide in libraries.
Yeah. And what about the gentleman, Mr. Kessler, who was killed on
Thousand Oaks,
Sunday?
California.
I mean, this is like the killing of Leon Klinghoffer.
Yes.
I mean, he's killed because he's Jewish.
Yep.
He gets he gets hit in the head. And why? Because they're having a protest in favor of Hamas, and he's having a protest in favor of Israel.
Somebody's
Fine,
gotta
okay.
explain this to me.
We're one of the few countries that allows you to have a protest in favor of Hamas, and I agree with you. You should be allowed to do it. I think you're a sick person if you do it. I'm entitled to think that. There are
Yes,
certain
you
things
are.
now you're not allowed to think. You can't think the election was stolen. You
It
can't
was.
think that Trump was really a great president. I mean, you can't think. You're not allowed to think that. That's because they know what you should think, and you can't think there's a God or believe there's a God. You're not allowed to do that. And if you do, you're stupid. You're just so stupid. But look at this. I mean, just look at this. Anti-Jew NYC hate in New York City up. I think that says 214%, does it not? Okay. So
Yeah.
let's go national. 60% of the anti-Semitic attacks right now, or of the hate attacks,
Hate
are
crime.
anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
The Jews make up 2.4% of the population. Now let's do a comparison in New York City last month of anti-Jewish hate crimes and anti-Islamic hate crimes. There were two anti-Semitic Jewish hate crimes in New York City last month. There were 8 Islamic hate crimes. That percentage of Islamic hate crimes is greater in New York than the national average, which is about a couple of percent. Yet, the White House, Knucklebrain Harris and Demented, set up a commission on Islamophobia
They're pandering.
and ignore anti-Semitism. Tell me they're not anti-Semitic.
It's crazy.
How can you sit by as the chief enforcer of the law in this country and ignore the numbers I just gave you? These are human beings who are beaten, kicked in the head. So you got 8 of them that are Islamic, and you set up a commission for them. And you got 62 in New York that are Jewish, and you ignore them. You're not anti-Semitic. Got to come from hatred or you're so damn compromised morally, you're useless. Well, that is a very good description of our president. Now they have a, I don't know the proper thing to describe him as, a person of interest, I think would be it in the killing of Mr. Kessler.
Yes.
And you should not be shocked or surprised that it's a professor. Seems to me there's a disproportionate number of professors that are anti-Semitic and anti-Jewish. There may be a larger number of them than students. I'm told by students that the anti-Semitism among the professors, and they were talking in reference to the Ivy League schools, but I don't know that it's very, very different, is shocking, the amount of it. And the almost, I mean, anti-Semitism is, among other things, it's evil and it's horrible and it's also stupid. It's dumb. You got to be ignorant to have been brought into it. And these are professors. So you imagine the quality of education they're giving these kids that are paying 60, 70 grand for it. So the guy is a guy named Loa, L-O-A-Y. Never saw a name like that before. Loa, L-O-A-Y, Anaji, A-I-N-A-J-I.
Why do they suspect him? Was he on film?
Yeah, he was on film.
Okay.
There. He was sitting in a puddle of apparently Mr. Kessler's blood.
Oh, my.
There was some evidence, sketchy, that he was seen striking out toward him. And that they say is on tape. So I'm just reading now from the newspaper. And it says he is alleged to have said, he's alleged to have been asked by a deputy, so you tried to hit the phone, meaning Mr. Kessler's phone. I think that was his explanation. I didn't mean to hit him. I meant to hit the phone. And he's heard in the clip, or he's seen in the clip, nodding yes to that. And then there's other evidence. Bearded Al-Naji is sitting on the curb next to the bloodstained sidewalk while people rush to attend to Paul Kessler. And as I said, he is heard to say, he is seen to nod his head in affirming, so you tried to hit the phone. And there's other evidence apparently, but they have not enough yet to charge him. But it is name out. Because usually when you got a person of interest like this,
that is true.
You don't usually put the name out unless you're looking for more witnesses against him.
I was just thinking the same thing. They're hoping to generate
and by the way, he did have on his Instagram account a pro-Hamas video.
I keep hearing this about professors in colleges. One female professor put out images of, some of them came into that area of Israel on, what are those called? Like paragliders or?
Yeah, that's it, paraglider.
Yeah, paragliders.
Yep. They were trained by the Iranians to do that.
And
they were trained by the Iranians to do that. We'll give you an idea. I mean, it's like going from Queens County, if you're in New York, to Nassau County. You just drive over a border if it's open.
More and more evidence comes out about the Obama administration. I remember his phrase, I am going to fundamentally change America. And you know what? He did. It was the start of it with his Marxism.
Well, people told us he was, and a lot of us ignored it or couldn't believe it, including me. Yeah, I didn't believe it. I thought it was.
I didn't see it.
I thought it was exaggeration, and maybe even a little prejudice when they described him as a communist. Now, when you look at the people who trained him, the people who educated him, they were dedicated communists.
Yeah.
And then when you look at his actions,
he was a community organizer.
Well, but I mean, this guy is absolutely a communist. I mean, there's no question about it. And he has a virulent hatred of this country.
He does.
I was once heavily criticized
really does.
for just making this observation. I said, I don't think that Barack Obama loves this country. I've never heard him as president express the kind of love that other presidents express. And maybe some of them even overdo it. I don't know. I mean, sound patriotic. But I do think that there's something there also.
Yeah.
So I lived through many American presidents, some of whom.
Well, you worked with a number.
Some of whom I thought were terrible, and some of whom I thought were great, and some of them were average. But I mean, let's take Jimmy Carter. I thought Carter was a terrible president. But I think his love of America matched, except possibly from Ronald Reagan, who had an excessive love for America, like Trump. I don't remember him ever. He must have said it somewhere in his speech, "I love America," but I don't remember it.
Maybe that's a challenge for all of you to try to
I don't
find
remember
that.
it. And he sure didn't act like it. He went around apologizing for
Do you
it.
know what he did when
About
he
us?
bailed out the banks? That's when he started putting in DEI. Hey, I'm all about accepting people, but you promote and hire people based on talent. It doesn't matter what their skill
Well, he turned the banks
is.
into propaganda machines.
In the banks.
That's what
and-
DEI is.
Yes, and then we started seeing not good investments, right? Because you're not hiring for talent. Then it's in the school systems and people are being promoted. Just recently, the Chicago mayor, who's an educator, by the way, isn't he?
I think he's an educator. He's a left-wing nut.
Well, I know he's a left-wing nut, but he doesn't want to give grades anymore.
No, he thinks he's confused. They say he doesn't hold anybody accountable. He says, well, I hold the schools accountable by the amount of money I give them. What kind of educator have a brain, right? That statement is the statement of someone with half a brain. Maybe. I hold them accountable by the money I give them. No. It's what you do to evaluate them to determine the amount of money that you give them that holds them accountable. P-brain.
Yeah. Wasn't it GW 42 who wanted to hold teachers accountable by passing grades and merit?
Yeah, it was also somebody
but then we
called
saw
Mayor.
cheating, right?
There was also somebody called Mayor Rudolph Giuliani. I had that battle for years with the teachers union, and of course, I never succeeded because I couldn't get the support.
Teachers union.
The teachers union would beat the hell out of me in the state legislature, even the Republican part of the state legislature, because they bribed all the Democrats and they had a sufficient number of Republicans that they had by the. Remember, you could never do school choice. Every 3/4 of the black people in New York,
Of course, they want the best.
100%
for their
of the
children.
black politicians in New York want to kill it because they get paid to kill it by the teachers union.
Democrat black politicians.
Yes,
Yeah. There's a distinction there.
Republican black politicians are excessively, heavily pro, like black people are. The black parents care about their children.
Of course,
The black politicians, at least a large number of them, couldn't give a damn. Why do you think those places are in the condition they're in? Because they've been represented by crooks all these years.
Yep.
Enough money has been given to every one of those places to be the French Riviera. Except the money ended
Charlie
up.
Rangel.
How does Charlie end up being worth $30 million?
Yeah.
That money was supposed to go to poor people. They're sort of the opposite of Robin Hood. Robin Hood took from the rich and gave to the poor. They take from everybody and put it in their pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're
screw
right.
their
And
own
nothing
people.
ever changes.
Their idea.
Nothing ever changes.
So are we going to have our Balance of Nature commercial now?
We'll have let's do QUX and then we'll do Balance of Nature.
I don't have my. They're inside.
It's okay.
Okay.
We'll just do the commercial.
But we can do the commercial, and you'll have to trust me that I'm going to take my pill as soon as I go inside.
And I'll tell Getter and Instagram about QUX.
Our device is something that you can plug into your television, and now you can use your television as a social television type experience. So in the Portal universe, you can watch your favorite content creators' videos, live streams, music. We also have TV subscriptions as well.
subscriptions.
You can also
regular channels, all the sports.
Right, you can actually cut your cable from your cable subscription and get QUX TV on our QX TV boxes, and you can pay half the price that you're currently paying for your cable television subscription, and you can get all the best premium TV channels and more. I mean, it's really, there's so much on there, Rudy. I mean, you've seen it.
No, I've seen it and I use it, and it's good. I mean, it's great. It's just exactly the same except for half the price. Plus, nobody is finding out what I'm watching, and that's not being reported to anybody.
Right, so you have absolute privacy using this device, which you don't have on other devices out there currently on the market.
This is absolutely great. QUX.TV is how you can find out about it. QUX.TV.
Use promo code RUDY to receive $30 off.
I
All right, we're
ordered.
back.
Yes, we're back. Rudy Giuliani is back complaining
Dr. Maria?
about the social networks, that sell you things, and then they, like I the other day, a special kind of screwdriver. All of a sudden, and I'm not one of those people that does an awful lot of stuff like that. I'm getting I have all kinds of sophisticated things being offered to me. I don't even understand what they do.
Yeah.
They take your house apart, or they take your plumbing apart, or they take your. Just because I bought one screwdriver, I want to send the damn thing back. If I send it back, will they take me off the list?
No, probably not.
You want to send me the stuff I like you want to send me microphones?
Yes, you love that.
Send me
kind of
microphones.
stuff.
Don't send me screwdrivers, okay?
Shall we talk about the debate?
Yes, and then let's talk about the election quickly. Let's talk about the debate, and we'll get Ted in it.
Yes, Ted is see him, but you hear him.
He listened to the debate. We all listened to the debate.
We did, and I think I'm saying this for all three of us that this is the first GOP debate we watched.
Well, as
we
a
may
group,
have seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We watched the vast majority of it.
Yeah.
In some cases, one watched it, the other didn't, or I think I've watched each one at least in a replay.
Oh, good for you. I
In a
haven't.
replay.
This is my first one.
I thought you watched the first one.
I did not. I saw a little.
Oh
clips
yeah, you
here
were
and
watching
there.
President Trump because he's always
Yeah,
done
we were going to
counter
compare.
programming.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
I was very pleased on a number of fronts. One, hear me, NBC, you did a fantastic job. In the last 4 to 8 years was the moderators making statements, social statements, or accusing like
terrible.
they did to President Trump.
Uniformly terrible.
Accusing him of something in a form of a question. In NBC was extremely professional, and they acknowledged what us Americans are going through. Again, I've seen it in the past where the real issues aren't brought up, but the real issues are we can't afford gas, we can't afford food, rent is out of the world. Bidenomics is terrible, and it doesn't work.
Do you think they would have done it if Trump was there? You think they'd have gone after Trump? Their instincts of hatred for him.
I'm gonna be.
Did they do it because they were hoping one of these people could beat Trump?
Maybe I'm being naive,
Maybe.
but I want to think they would have been professional if President Trump was on.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't
what
think
do you
that-
think, Ted?
Their
tough one.
bloodlust would have been.
Chris, a chance to say something to Trump. I mean, he'd embarrass himself, but for some reason, right, he really that's all he's
You're
wanted is a
talking
chance to go be on stage with President
Yeah.
Trump. He wishes in his dreams.
Chris Christie?
Yeah.
Is he still? Was he there? I don't
Well,
remember.
that was a big question, right? What is Chris Christie doing on stage? Aren't going to really support him for the president. But I have my own theory. He's a commentator on ABC. He likes to go out and say bad things about President Trump. So maybe they wanted to throw him a bone because
No. I think they wanted him to
Beat up
beat
on
up
Trump.
on Trump. Absolutely.
Yes.
You give Welker wasn't bad in the last debate between Biden and Trump, but she couldn't help herself. I mean, you go back and there were an awful lot of biased questions. She also embarrassingly cut Trump off when Trump was pointing out.
The CNN one. You're talking about the CNN. No, that was awful. That's
the
awful.
debate in which he defamed me personally, in which he said that I was a Russian.
You're talking about the one. way
Welker
back now.
was
Okay.
and when Trump defended me and himself, she cut him off.
Yeah.
And it turns out he was telling the truth, and her hero there, the demented tease.
But I thought that Ron DeSantis, I saw him a little differently last night. He was more relatable, common sense. I liked him. To me, you could say your figures after me, but I thought he won the debate if there's a winner. I thought Nikki Haley definitely was number 2. I thought there was a couple of things that irritated me about Vivek. His youth was showing. And I love Senator Scott, right? Everybody says the same thing. Nice guy, very friendly, smart, cooperative, but he just, he's young, and I think he'll get there, but I don't think this is his time. I definitely don't think I have no real respect for Chris Christie.
Well, Chris Christie's time is over.
But who do you think won?
Donald Trump. No, I do. I mean,
All right,
I think
let's
it's
say it
obvious.
this way: out of the 4 on stage,
The 4 plus Christie.
I
Yeah.
picked it the best of the 4 on stage.
yeah.
And I think she was too much of a wise. You know, I was going to say wise something else, but of course provoked into it by Ramaswamy, who battered her until she got him when he went over the line and went after her a child, which which was totally unnecessary, and the mistake of a first-time candidate who probably thinks a little too much of himself.
Yeah, he did come out today and said, I wasn't going after the kid. I was really going after Nikki Haley.
I would have preferred if he just apologized.
Yeah,
for
me
it.
too.
Because there's
Me
no
too.
doubt he was going after the kid. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
She did respond.
That's sort of a Biden
by
piece
saying,
of crap.
"You're scum."
She did, and and look, she had every right to do it.
Yeah.
You go after my
agree.
kid, I'd probably get arrested for assault.
Yeah. Who did you think won, Ted?
Look, I think well, we've all been talking about, you know, the 4 seem to do very well. The one thing I think we all agree on, and maybe America agrees on, is that Chris Christie lost.
Yeah.
That Chris Christie was the loser. I don't even know if lost is the right word.
Well,
Right? He never was.
They lost on the first debate. It just reaffirmed itself in the third one. He's like a dead man walking.
I can't even think of one thing he said that impressed me.
Right?
And when he says, "When I'm president," you look there and say, "Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?" There isn't. There are about 4% of Republicans that want you in this debate, and if they thought about it, they probably want you thrown off.
Do you think Vivek is going to women? Because it does seem like he did say, I think, one thing against Ron DeSantis, but he really zeroed in.
I hope he
isn't.
I hope he doesn't for that
Nikki
reason.
Haley.
He had every right to zero in on her, and what he zeroed in on her is legitimate.
Yeah.
She
The
did
Ukraine.
fund. Well, first
and
of
the
all,
other- yeah.
she did fund Chinese businesses, and DeSantis agreed with him on that.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that DeSantis and he didn't attack DeSantis very much, or vice versa. It seemed to me that they have decided she's the target.
Yes.
Because look, over the last, although she's
She's
and DeSantis
doing well in New Hampshire, my home state.
she's the only one that's grown.
Yeah.
But she's grown in what I would call the loser circle. None of them break out of the loser circle. They just share 16. You know, they toss around the same, losing to Trump by 5-1. Who's going to lose? Who's going to be the number one loser, or the less?
And isn't the non-Trump share shrinking as stuff's happening overseas?
Yeah, it'll shrink
with Biden doing what he's doing.
It'll shrink even more when people go to vote, because when a person has a margin like that.
People are worried about cheating, Rudy, and I'm being deadly serious.
Oh, in the debate, no, not in the Republican primary.
No,
sorry.
In the general
I think we're
election,
all worried about
people
cheating in the
are
general
already
election.
worried.
Everybody
about
asked me
cheating.
about it. How do you stop it?
Everybody, yeah.
I know the press is going to say, "Oh, that's terrible. You're assuming the worst." Yeah, well, we had the worst in 2020. We got the same crooks in charge. Look at Pennsylvania. The crooked AG becomes the governor. We got a Democrat in Arizona who may very well participated in the stealing of the vote from Kerry Lake. So, and the things that keep coming out that the press doesn't report just reaffirms the fact of how crooked the Democrat Party is.
Here's some irony here, right? A judge ordered a new mayoral election in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The same thing that 2,000 Mules proved in the Trump-Biden election. People were stuffing
the ballot
those
Democrats.
boxes. Probably paid for like cartel types. There was a lot of people that got paid to stuff them. They had to have proof, so they'd take a picture of the box, and they also did some other signal.
Well, the mules were half Antifa.
Yeah.
Who got paid to stuff the ballot. If you bother to watch the movie, you'll find out they're half Antifa.
Very
and
good.
the funniest people you ever met. And they clearly weren't handling ballots, and you see it right on tape.
Yeah.
But the American censorship says you're not allowed to watch it, and they generally pronounce that 2,000 Mules was debunked.
It was not.
But there is no such debunking report. Nobody's debunked it. They pronounce it.
Technology that law enforcement uses and the CDC uses. So the technology, there's nothing to debunk. But I was proud of this judge. He saw evidence and he acted on it. You had one court case in Pennsylvania on the election. The judge wouldn't hear from witnesses. So you did a brilliant move.
By going to the
you
state
went
legislatures.
to the state legislators who have ultimate responsibility over the election, and you brought their own citizens who saw the fraud.
I'd have to go through it. Some columnist wrote, that because he was describing really would not have any kind of useful information. But he said that the lawyers around Trump made a terrible mistake by not going to the legislature. What is the guy asleep? I got a COVID going to the legislatures.
Oh, dear.
And he's commenting on a proceeding in front of the legislature. But in order to be a critic, he forgets what he's commenting on. Yeah. Don't take him as a lawyer. Guy who forgets what he's commenting on should not be defending your life. He's saying they really missed an op. They did a better job under the circumstances than people think, but they missed the opportunity of bringing it to the legislatures. And he's commenting on the evidence in Georgia. All the evidence in Georgia was brought to the legislature. Some of it developed by us, some of it developed by Senator Ligon and his people. I mean, we didn't develop all the evidence.
No, it was people from Georgia.
We were given the evidence, and then other people developed the evidence.
I think people don't understand that. Well, of course, the media spins things, and the politician spins it that this was something you push forward, or the Jenna Ellises in the world push forward.
Jenna didn't.
When in fact,
it was her superior.
When it in fact was the people who saw things, the Republican poll workers who said they were shut out of the polling place when they're supposed to, by law, be there to inspect the ballots alongside the Democrat. This is all factual, not debunked.
Yeah, not debunked at all. And I just hope these people maintain their integrity and don't sell themselves out of being intimidated and made fearful by a bunch of bullies, which is what Georgia are, a bunch of second-rate bullies. And I mean, it's a crooked town. Atlanta is crooked as all get out. The case against him there, or me, or any of them, is absurd. It's completely absurd. It's I defended a client in front of the legislature. I mean, it's all. If I committed the crime, I'm stupid enough to commit it in the open. Everything I did, I said. I said it as a lawyer. You get a certain degree of latitude in representing your client because you have to argue in the light most favorable to your client. And they do. They take apart everything I say and make it false when it isn't. I mean, if other lawyers were held to the standard that we're held to, that would be me and Jenna and Eastman and others. They'd all go to jail.
Yeah, it's terrible. Well, I love the format of your show, America's Mayor Live. Information they're not going to see anywhere else, and it's a nice discussion. I know your fans love it, or your listeners. And tomorrow night, Friday night, we are both speaking at a walk-away event in West Palm Beach.
Walk away from the Democrat Party.
Yeah. It's put on
Party
by
of slavery. Say goodbye to it.
Schrock. And so we look forward to seeing everybody there. But thank you for having me on.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Dr. Maria. She's always right on top of everything with very, very, not just logical results, but very well easily understood. It's an art, really is, and she has it. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back tomorrow, as Dr. Maria said, from here, but we'll be a couple miles away at an event where they are celebrating people who left the Democrat Party. I don't know, we're going to baptize them or something?
I don't know. It's their 5th year anniversary, but a lot of them have some sad stories, how they lost friends and relatives.
Oh my God! You know the amount of friends that I've lost, and it's heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. There's a sickness of Trump derangement syndrome. It really is an illness, and I wish it were recognized, because just think of the way he was deprived and his people deprived of the right to counsel by the intimidation and that has been done to his lawyers. A lot of people don't want to go through it. You can't imagine how many lawyers on him. Well, thank you very much, and we'll be back with you tomorrow at 7 o'clock. And then next week, we're going to switch back to 8 o'clock. Okay. God bless America.
Body is an amazing chemical laboratory. When you give it the right chemistry, it functions the best. Balance of Nature is the ultimate whole fruit and vegetable chemistry.
Get 35% off your first order by using discount code RUDY.